record.
100%.
Yay! So you can hear
When
me
you're ready,
really
Matthew.
well?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, this is Katie, my producer. This is Glen Roos.
Hi. When you're ready, count backwards from 15 and go. You'll see it up on the screen anyway. Okay.
Okay, ready, Glen?
Okay.
15, 14, 13, 10.
In your head.
Can we go now?
Yep.
All right. Hi, everyone. It's Veronica Bartolini with Unchained Hearts, and I'm on Soma Fusion, Mind, Body, and Soul with my producer, Katie Camara. Welcome to our show, and we have a special guest tonight. His name is Glen Roos from South Africa. Welcome, Glen. We have so much to talk about. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Good. What time is it over there?
It is 17 minutes past 4
In the
in the
morning?
morning.
Oh, my
Yes.
goodness. And you got the day off,
And
right?
yes, I took it off, yeah. And also we have a power cut at the moment, so it's pitch dark here.
Thank you so much. I know it's been tough. So I'm gonna have, by the way, I'm gonna have Lisa. I got Lisa and Artemis, Vicky. I think they're gonna be on either next week or the following week, something like that. Can you believe that?
Wonderful. It's amazing.
Yeah, so maybe you can be on with us. I'm not sure the date yet. That way we can, be on then. But I'm just gonna, I don't have like a bio or anything like that. We're just gonna talk like we are old friends that we are. I met Glen through Facebook in 2017, right, Glen? 2017.
Yeah, around about then, yes.
Yeah. And he created a group with Lisa, Artemis, and John Post, and another lady, I forget her name. But it was during the time, Glen helped me so much as well. It was during the time that I was barely coming out as a super soldier and not quite understanding what the heck was going on. And he totally helped me. Thank you, Glen. You helped me a lot to just by talking, and exploring. And then Lisa was the one that was able to verify the octopus that I had in the back, and she was helping me with that healing process. And just a lot of amazing things happened during that time. I mean, we would stay up on WhatsApp for hours just talking, just like we known each other forever. But and Glen is also an opera singer, and I share some of his music. I really want you to get recorded.
Me too.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and you've been awakened for a long time, and tell us about your silver man that you are.
Oh.
That you made too.
Silver Surfer. Yeah, basically it's I've been awake. I woke up in 1989, and yeah, it's been a hell of a journey. It's been I've thought about writing a book because it's so much that happened. I might still do it. I'm not sure about it yet, but yeah, it's been a hell of a story, a hell of a thing. And but more recently, after all these years, I would say 2019, for the first time, I found real peace within me. After all the stuff that went down, and yeah, it was just, as I said, it's too much to say in a few words. It's a lot, but the Silver Surfer thing is, I just associate with it so much because I feel like I've been traveling the universe, honestly, and I feel I come in, I help and awaken and do whatever I can in my ability to create a better civilization or help civilizations to improve. And then from there, whenever I feel, then I leave again and go to the next one. That's how I see it in myself. That's how I experience it. So yeah, that's in short, basically.
Yes. Well, before we get into all the UFO sightings that you have talked about and all that, I just really, I found it interesting that we communicated a lot on the breaking of the religious programming, that I was able to decode some things, and we were talking about that too. I had mentioned that my great grandfather was a priest and he was coming down from Spain, and that he left his priesthood to marry an Indian woman from Baja California, Mexico. And you told me that you had also been a priest, correct? If you want to talk about
Yeah,
that and your awakening there, you know?
yeah, that's where the real shocker happened. Actually, it's not right there, but it started there. That was in 1989 when I left the church. What happened was I saw myself going down the same road as my dad had gone before me, because he sat with a lot of resentment at the time. Um, I tried to help him because I knew exactly what his ruin was, if you could say that. And I thought I knew how to help him, but uh, because of all his religious, the fact that he was so religious, he didn't want to basically let me in to help him. That made it very difficult because, um, as we all know, when you, well, not everybody has gone through the same road. Uh, but it's a very hard thing to let go of, because you are, I don't want to use all kind of weird words, but it's basically you're so programmed that you believe whatever you're doing is 100% correct. And I was there myself. And my father was a very good sportsman, and myself also. And I had to basically choose between the church and the sports, playing international sports. And my father chose the church at the time when that was in the 50s. And I decided, and I saw where we landed up with regards to, he had cancer and all that stuff. And I said, I'm not going to go this road. But it was very hard. It was very, very hard to make that choice. And then one night, there was an argument with a guy that was above us. I was a priest, and this guy was an elder. And he got very rude with my wife at the time. And I said to him, this is not what I signed up for. Okay, I'm leaving this priesthood behind. You can take it back. I'm done. I'm really done. I'm not going to do it anymore. And then from there, really, that was a very tough thing to do. A very, very tough thing to do. But I did it because I felt this is what I'm doing. I'm not going to go down that same road. And yeah, that's where the journey basically started. And when I left the church, that was for 24 years of my life. I was born into the church, and I thought to myself, what now? I've just removed the stable thing that I've been holding on to my whole life. I've just removed. So what now? What do I do now? Took a lot of guts, and I said, okay. And then I followed my heart, and I started reading books about all the topics that came into my mind. I felt I was basically guided without me knowing at the time. So I started reading books about unexplained stuff, about UFOs, about you name it, about all the subjects that you as a person that's looking for answers would be looking at. And man, was I was I shocked. Um, One of the biggest shockers came in 1994 when I was at the police also. And I got a transfer from the normal police unit with uniform and stuff to the crime intelligence department of the police. And there I got,
When you were
yes,
at the same time you were a priest, you were also a policeman, right?
that's correct, yes. Yeah, it's not like in the Catholic Church where you only do that as a life thing. It was at night, I was a priest, and during the day I was working as a policeman also. So it was half, if you can say that. And then from there, I read a book. Now this book, if you go Google it, you cannot find it on Google. But I had the book in my hands. I read it. The book was called Once Again About the CIA. So that was quite an awakening to see what these guys have been up to and what have been doing that was quite an eye opener, huge eye opener. Yeah, that's sort of how I would do it. There's a lot more that happened as I went along, but yeah, that's short, you could say.
I have a quick question. So you were a police officer then as well, and that's when you were finding out things about the agency, the CIA.
Yes.
How did you do it? I don't, I question myself a lot. Would I be able to still be a police officer if I were awakened back then? Knowing everything that I know now, I don't know. It's a tough one. How did
Yes.
you do it?
It was very hard because the more I awakened, the more I realized, but what I'm busy with here now is all BS. You understand? With the work and stuff. And what it took me a while. 2004, I finally quit. And I said, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot be here anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I cannot be surrounded by this society, this organization anymore. And then I left it. Yes.
What was the hardest thing for you to do when you were a cop and awakened at the same time? What were the issues that you were, like, it's like, forget about it. I can't do this anymore.
Basically, impeding on people's freedoms, taking away, having to lock up people for just trying to live, to make a living. And for like basic stuff, here in South Africa, we had a huge problem and still do. We've got so many illegal immigrants from across the border. I'm talking about millions. I'm not talking about a few 100,000 or thousands. I'm talking about a few million of illegal immigrants coming from across the border. And we always arrested these guys. That was when I was doing the uniform branch before I got to intelligence. And we used to arrest these people, and they would take out 10 rand. That's our currency, 10 rand out of their pockets and say, please let me go. And I don't take bribes. You understand? I look at this guy is in tears. Sometimes I just let him go. I said, fuck this, I cannot do this. And that was very, very hard. And also the abuse from some of the policemen, they thought that they had the right to abuse people. And that I didn't like it at all. At all. It was, it's gut wrenching to see these things. You think to yourself, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? I'm not supposed to be here because this is not who I am. That spiritually, this is not what I signed up for. Not at all. So that was basically, in short, the toughest thing about the whole thing.
I found it hard even when I wasn't awakened because, same thing with you. I had people coming from the Mexico border. And, it's like sometimes they were not documented, and they were just trying to work. And that
Yes.
to me was the hardest thing. Other than, having to arrest people for domestic violence, obviously those are the harder calls, and the shootings and stabbing. But that was like heart-wrenching. So
Yes.
I get you. I do. I didn't like having to be in the good old boy club, what they call, because I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't,
Yes.
I don't like the secrets, that they would
Yeah.
keep. And so now, of course, people don't like me speaking and being a whistleblower of everything else, not just that, but I just feel if you show the universe who you are, and you're a good person, you try and do good unto others, and I mean, yeah, you still have to have your boundaries. I just feel that the universe will always take care of you. One thing that I wanted to say again, thank you, Glenn, is I was having a hard time back then, and 2017, I was weighing 271 pounds, as you know, and I would just watch you work out. You know, you would send me the videos or you would post stuff on there. We were always talking on WhatsApp. I really appreciate, you know, I don't know, I forget how old you are, but you're playing rugby. You're, you know, punching bags in the gym, and you got me more
Yeah.
motivated. You helped me through that too. So talk about that. Like,
No,
you've been a sportsman all your life, you said?
yes, yes. Since I've been playing, well, I'm not playing physical rugby anymore. I'm playing touch rugby now because I'm not up to tackling and all that, being tackled.
When
No,
was the last
not.
time you played touch rugby?
I played yesterday.
But what about
I still do.
physical rugby?
Physical. That was, I played till up until into my fairly late 30s, just before I was 40. I'm now 30. Next month I'm turning 55. But I, I'm still very active. I love being fit, and I love doing sports, and not competitive as such anymore, because my focus is so much on spirituality and the changes that's taking place on the planet and so on. So, but yeah, I still love training and exercising always. I think I'll do it till the day I drop dead.
Yes, me too, and I commend you for that. Do you think you're a super soldier?
Uh, I've had many thoughts about that, and after looking at it thoroughly, from you speaking to me from quite about 2-3 years back, I remember you saying to me that all these things, and I think to myself, it doesn't ring a bell to me. I cannot recall anything to that effect. But then I spoke to another guy. I told you about this also. And when I spoke to him, and he mentioned this, and he said to me, "But this and this and this is a story," and he's been in it. And then I started sort of putting the things together, and I think, but there's certain things within especially on my dad's side of the family, which starting to make more and more sense. We are all, uh, we don't take shit from people, if you can say that. To say it, am I allowed to swear? Slightly, not too much.
Yes, we can cuss here. You can be yourself.
But in any case, so we don't take nonsense from people. If a person, you tell him once, okay, if you don't stop this, I'm gonna sort you out, and you're not gonna like it if you remember it. And if he doesn't, then it happens. But I've sort of changed over the years now because of the spirituality, and I've realized that you can't just do that things. But yeah, I wouldn't say it sounds more like it is like that, like you are just asked now. They're not, if you can say that. Yeah. Yeah, that's sort of my story. I hope it sort of answer your question.
Thank you. What do you recall ever being taken on a ship, or is it or another question is, since when have you been observing? Do you think it's the UFO? Do you think it's the military? What do you see?
Um, I've seen many UFOs, but more recently, I've seen less and less and less UFOs. All kinds of shapes and forms. Sometimes it's just blimps moving so quickly you cannot see what it is. But I've seen huge ones. Um, I think I told you about this in I put it on Facebook also in 1998, when I saw this massive, absolutely gigantic. There was a mothership. I think you saw the photo of it, like an illustration. It's not the photo of it. I didn't have a camera with me or anything like that to take a photo. So it's very likely, but I cannot remember anything of being taken into a ship. Not at all. Not consciously. I cannot remember anything like that. But it's what I can tell you is about 5-6 years ago. I went through a lot of, financially, when I was lost many jobs because of the situation here in South Africa. They call it retrenchment, when they give you a small package and there you go. That was after I left the police in 2004. Well, that happened to me 4 or 5 times. So, but I was staying at this place, and I woke up the morning and I felt something is weird. And I felt, when you got a scratch on your body, but I had a scratch on my right butt cheek. That's so weird. It's about 20 centimeters long. It's about, how much is that in inches? It's 10 centimeters is about 3 inches, just a little bit more. So you're looking at about 9 inches, 6 to 9 inches, give or take, scratch, mark on my butt. And next to it was a smaller one. And I had no explanation of how that happened. When I went to bed, there was nothing like that. I showed my wife at the time. I said to her, look here, I don't understand where this come from. And that was quite unexplainable. But if you're taking into consideration what we're talking about, it's very possible that I might have been taken. But I can't remember anything to that effect. Consciously, I cannot remember anything as such. But that was basically sort of the only evidence that I most probably was taken somewhere, because it didn't make sense what happened.
Right, because they do, when we're taken physically, they'll, if we're fighting in a situation, or if they're putting prongs in us, or, the chemicals, the black goo, whatever,
Yes.
to augment us, or if we're struggling, whatever, it bleeds through to us here, to,
Yes.
to your body, to, even if they take you consciously.
Yes.
But most of the time, especially the German, like I said earlier, and the CIA will take you physically. So how was your kids and your wife at the time? How did they take your awakening? Because a lot of people think when we're awakening up, they think that we're going nuts or something. Did it affect the relationship, the kids? What, but going back real quick to your work situation, I remember how Unjustified, or how do they say that? How you had a lot of injustice. You had a lot of, I felt like you were a targeted individual, you know what I mean? But you held strong. You held strong,
Yes.
and then you got a wonderful job now. And if you want to talk a little bit about whatever you choose, this or that first.
No problem. With regards to the awakening and my direct family, my wife and the kids, I sort of, when I look at my wife, basically at the time, she was more of, she basically sort of led by the led me without her realizing, because she was already awakened. She was never too much into the church thing at all, and she basically helped me to basically get out also, because of that night when that guy was so rude to her, for just speaking something, just saying something. That was the pivotal point where I decided, okay, that's the end. You're not going to talk to her like this. And I said, this is the end, when I gave up the priesthood. So my kids were born awakened. They are very much awakened. So I didn't have that struggle. But from my family side, my brothers, my sisters, my parents, that was a whole different story. When I left the church, I felt a lot of, I felt like they just pushed me aside. And because my dad could never understand why I left the church. And I tried to, it's very difficult to explain to somebody awakening, that you are awakening, and you cannot do this anymore. You cannot do this anymore. You have to leave it behind. So the best way I explained to them, I said, when you go through school, before you go to school, it's preschool. Okay, then when you're done with preschool, you go to the primary school, the first school. And after that, when you're done with the primary school, you go to the higher school. And then from there, you go to university. And I said to him, but this is the end. I came to a point where I couldn't learn anything more from this, because there was questions in me about certain things in the Bible, etc., 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 and which nobody could answer, and you weren't allowed to ask these questions, because how dare you ask that kind of questions? So eventually, that basically I explained to people, but I came to the end, and there wasn't I couldn't get the answers which I was looking for. So I had to go and look in the school of life, or whatever you want to call it, go look for the answers. I have to find it, because I'm not the kind of person, when I've got these questions, I just leave it. Okay, I don't know the answer. There is no answer. I don't believe in that. To me, there is nothing is written in stone. There is no boundaries. I don't believe in boundaries, and I think that's what also took me through all the tough times and the hard times. Is I never give up and I never surrender. I don't know what that means. You understand? I don't know what it means. So that's what helped me to go through all these things and stuff. But yeah, the being pushed aside by my family, that was a tough one. Really, that was a very, very tough one, and I felt I was basically on my own. And then my wife became ill, and she had Crohn's disease and stuff, and I was basically, then I had to go. Once you awaken, properly awakened, there's no return. There's no turning back. There's only one way, it's forward. And you know what I'm talking about. So I had to go from there, and I have to push, and I've been pushing ever since. And that at the end of the day, when I was living about 7 years ago, actually 11 years ago, I started getting ill, and I didn't know at the time what it was, but later on I found out by the doctor and so on that I've got asthma. But about 6-7 years ago, I got so ill that I could hardly walk 30-40 meters. That's not far, without being so out of breath that I felt I'm going to die. And then it got so bad that I could hardly sleep. If I lie down and sleep, I jumped up, and I couldn't. I got so claustrophobic. It felt like somebody was pushing my lungs in, but it was bad. And the mistake that I made was I stopped training for that period for about 4 months or so, 5 months. And that was the mistake that I made, because I didn't know what was going on. I thought I've got some illness. I was a bit scared to exercise and stuff. And then eventually it got so bad that the one night I had what I felt was a divine intervention. I woke up so far. I would sleep maybe an hour, then I would jump up, and I was so claustrophobic. But that night I woke up, it felt like I was dead. I was sleeping that deep. And I woke up, and I was completely, like, still half asleep, sort of. And I felt this being guiding me to the bathroom. And this being guiding me how to breathe. And I started doing these breathing exercises there. And that at the end, I believe that. And the fact that I can't remember, I think it was the next day or something, I decided the day I was living about 140 meters away from the gate. It's an uphill to the gate. And I decided, okay, I'm going to run from here to the top. And I could hardly walk there. I didn't have breath. And so I would be running 10 meters, be stopping with my hands on my knees and gasping for air. And then I'd run. And so I kept on doing that for about a week. And together with the breathing exercise, which I started doing, after a week, I was about 50% better. After feeling in my mind, seeing that I'm going to die. And that's when I started doing. So that's when I first started really meditating. I didn't know what was I doing. I just started meditating. I just followed what I felt. I've always believed that. Just follow what you feel and go with it and do the best you can, and you'll get to some point where things are much better. So I started doing that, and That's why I started seeing more UFOs quite a lot, often also. And um, and that's what also my wife and I, we're still married, but we separated. For 4.5 years now without staying together. My kids are staying with us. So that spiritual growth led us to go apart, because she wasn't really pushing it anymore. I was really working hard because I felt I had to do it for survival. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I didn't like what I was seeing, and I felt I had to do something. Um, Otherwise, I'm not going to make it. And that's when I really focused on doing the spiritual thing of meditation. And I started realizing that I had to start loving myself, because of all the things that I felt I put my family through, losing all the jobs and stuff. Not because I just walked out, but they told me, we cannot pay you anymore, or this or that reason, or the company is being sold to some other company. You have to go. That's a reason. They call it retrenchment in South Africa. It's a stupid system, but any case. So
What do you call it again?
retrenchment. They're supposed to give you a retrenchment package, and then but they didn't always do that. They would just maybe give you 1 or 2 months salary, and there you go, and say, yes, now you go on your own. It was incredibly hard. I lost so many things. I lost everything, and the only thing that basically we stood together was me and my little family. But that also also, yeah, it just went away. So my kids are their mother are living together, and I'm living on my own for the last 4.5 years. And yeah, so, but in any case, yeah, that was tough. It was immensely tough. I had to really work hard on myself, not to cave in, not to go into full resentment because she's sick and not well. But I saw it so many times. I cannot tell you how many times I saw it, that it's the end of the road. You know, it's like I felt I didn't have any choice, but I tried. But the more I tried, the less it worked. It was like, really, okay, you need to know this is the end of the line. It's not going to go past this line. And how do you explain that to somebody? Uh, it was incredibly tough. A lot of tears, a lot of heartaches, a lot of pain, a lot of all that stuff. Uh, and eventually, one day, and I think it's the only way it could have worked, because I wasn't going to walk out on them or on her. My kids was working, and they grown up and stuff at the time already, but I couldn't. There was no way that I would be walking out on it, because I don't believe in that. That's not. I can't. So that was. I didn't see how this is going to work. That was after nearly a year or so that I kept on getting these messages and didn't know what to do with it. And eventually, my daughter came to me, and we had a lot of arguments about the most ridiculous stuff you can think of. I would be going home on my way home from work, and I would be thinking, there's no way I'm going to get the argument today. No way. Walk in, it's like a bomb explodes. And I think, what just happened? Um, and I'm not blaming her of this, because it's always it takes two to tango. It, the moment you start blaming anybody and everybody for your problems, is the moment you're losing sight of what's going on. You have to take responsibility, and there's always some part of responsibility that you brought to the party. Always, no matter what, it's always like that. That's what I discovered also. And my daughter came to me and she said to me, "Dad, I'm gonna move out." And that was tough for me, because yeah, I love my kids. And I said, okay. I didn't even know she's looking for a place to stay. And then she said to me, "But I'm taking Mom with." And I remember standing there thinking, so this is how it's going to happen. because I didn't see how this is going to happen, how it will play out. Because I didn't have an answer for that. And I just said, okay. I didn't know what to say. I was like dumbstruck, but also realizing exactly what's going on, what's playing out right in front of me. And I felt like I didn't have any control over it. And my wife at the time said to me a little bit later, she said, if you told me to stay, I would have stayed. I said to her, then I said, but I couldn't, because I saw this happening and it's not working. We are destroying each other. I don't want to destroy you, and I don't want to be destroyed. This is what it's a divine intervention, I feel. But she didn't understand it as much as I did, because we weren't on the same page anymore. We drifted apart spiritually on so many levels that it's hard to put in words. I felt it spiritually. I felt us this is happening, and there was no control over it. We basically, I felt spiritually we grew apart, and I had no control over it. It happened, and then after that, it took me about a year or so, 2 years of very hard spiritual work on myself, not to go into resentment, of many tears. I cried so many times, and I felt like I'm sure I could have done better, and I had to really remind myself all the time, not to go into resentment, resenting myself, because I came out of it. I rescued my life from coming out of resentment towards myself, my family, and so on, by just pure guts, determination, and believing I have to do this, because I feel I've got so much to give to the world, of everything that I've come to know, and so on. And yeah, so no, that's basically how that worked out and how that played out. And yeah, it's sometimes still very, very difficult, but I found happiness. Yeah, that was in 2019. I remember the day, the 25th of April 2019. That was the day I left the previous job and came home. After that manager that I had he was a tyrant. He was sort of my last crazy test, because I'm saying this because this guy, he swore to me in my face, and I would never allow that. I wanted to knock his teeth out, and I wanted to knock him into the ground every day for 3 years that I was working there.
I remember you leaving me messages on WhatsApp or us talking about him, and it was just horrible, Glenn. I kept sending you, love, and I kept saying, Glenn, don't give up. You're gonna find something. And when that day came, oh my gosh, when you sent me that picture, what was that vehicle that you got to drive?
Yeah. Yeah, that was quite amazing. It was such a, what's funny? I saw it in numerology. I follow numerology quite regularly, and it's guided me so well in many of because it's not just a thing. It's really can guide you so well, because there's not a lot of things that guide you physically in this life, but numerology is one of them. And it's not a belief system or anything. It just works. About 2 or 3 times I ignored it. I got smacked so hard by the universe, for like my face was shouting and say, "Wake up! This is not nonsense. We're trying to help you."
Glenn, remember when you sent me? I mean, you still do, but when you were going through all this, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I got another 7-7, or I got 21, because you told me that when you meet people online that are waking up,
Yes.
like you met me and Lisa, Victoria,
21, 22.
everyone. What was it?
21, 22.
21,
I still see that time. Yes. It's amazing. Every time I saw those numbers, I met you, I met Victoria, Lisa, I met Christian is the other lady's name, and then John Post. Yeah, and I'm still meeting people. Here in South Africa, I've met, and I'm still seeing that numbers. And every time I see that numbers, I meet you, a spirit, as part of the spiritual family. It's crazy how it's just growing, growing.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that when you say those numbers, it's like when I see a shooting star, I know that I'm going to
Yeah,
get to counsel a super soldier. Isn't that crazy? I know that when I see the shooting star, I'm like, okay, I wonder who it is this time. I wonder who I get to help coach or awaken. It's
yes,
I thought it was going nuts, but it
no,
all makes sense. And do you feel that, okay, this is me though. This is what I feel. I feel I'm on a ship. I'm on my ship, even though my light body is stuck under Antarctica. I'm in my ship, and I'm gonna return to that ship, and I can return
yes,
any night, every night, and we can be
yeah,
taken whether we're here, asleep, awake, or whatever. But sometimes, like, I see myself going down in my sarcophagus at night. Like I'm gonna go to sleep on my bed, but I wake up in my ship, open my sarcophagus, and I'm like, hey guys, what's up? The people that are on my ship, and then I'm on my I have like a tablet, like a see-through glass tablet that I'm like sending
yes.
messages to myself, and like vehicle license plates, and just I don't know, that just I feel, because at first, the love and light community is like, oh my gosh, it's the Pleiadians, or it's the Orions, or it's the whatever you call them,
Yes,
you know, and
yeah,
it's like, to me, I don't worship those things, because I know we are
yeah,
all God with, consciousness together.
yes.
So we are all masters and creators, and so I just feel like, do you think that too? Like maybe you send numbers to yourself or vision?
Um, yeah, most probably yes. Because from a higher self point of view, definitely. Uh, I have an experience which happened due to the lockdown last year, where I was asking with prior to that, I was asking, I want to meet my higher self. I want to know who it is. And I know you're always in contact with it, but uh, some people see it more clear than other people. So I feel a lot of things. My feelings is very accurate, and I get thoughts, and it's often no. Okay, it's not just a thought, because the thing about it just being my imagination. I killed that thing off a long time ago, because I know there is no such thing as illusionary imagination, if you can say that. You take it, you must take cognizance of that, because that is real. It's more real than this physical joke that we call life on this planet. So I was asking about this, and it's also it's always a learning process. Every single time, every single second of the day is a learning process. So I was asking this. I had a lot of time to meditate, because I was off for two months and a week or so, and I was meditating on my porch the one day. And as I was meditating, suddenly this lady just appeared in front of me. And I looked at her, but it was nothing woo ha woo. That not like that. It's like you me talking here. And I looked at her and I said to her, "Who are you?" But it looked like a character out of the Avengers movies. She had long black hair. Uh, she had these markings in her face, like tattoos, but it's not tattoos. It's like standing out. It's like how can I say? It's not part of a skin. It's sort of, I don't know how to describe it. It's very difficult. It's a tattoo, but it's like paint that's a thick paint sort of on her face. But that's the way she looks. And then she's got this tight suit on, like the Avengers movies. And I looked at her and I said to her, "Who are you?" I said, "This is also quite a story, how this thing happened." I said, "No," she said to me, "Althea." I said, "Okay." And then I couldn't see her clearly, her face. I said, "Show yourself to me." Um, and then the next round, she's right in front of my face, yeah. But not in a stupid way, or just like, "Okay, yeah, yeah, I am." And I said, "Okay." And I asked her questions, and she said to me, "I'm here because you asked her questions, and that's why I'm here." And I didn't know at the time, realize at the time what I was seeing, who I was really seeing. It was just, I was just like sitting back and observing this. And I asked one or two other questions. I can't even remember what exactly I asked, but to do with my health as well, because I'm dead set on getting rid of it completely. I know there's a cure for it. There's no doubt about it for any illness, for that matter. So, and then later on, I went after this whole thing. I'm done with meditation and so on. And she said she must go and so on. I said I went inside the house. I've got quite a few little boxes of herbal different herbs in my house. It's all the same brand. And for some reason, I walked straight to the cupboard. I opened the cupboard and I looked at these herbal herbs. And then I looked at the one specific one and I took it out. And as I took it out, it is, I'll get the name now. I've got it in my cupboard here. At the bottom of the herb name, it says Althea. Now, is that for coincidence? I never saw it before. I never noticed it before, but it was like I was being guided towards my cupboard to go and look. Yes.
What does Althea mean to you? Because when you're telling me the story about her being right here, I wrote something down.
Okay.
And now remember, I don't have my beanie hat, the one that blocks the Wi-Fi. Okay.
Yeah,
I always wear my beanie hat when I'm here. When I'm not doing my shows or anything, because I don't want to hear them talking to me. I just want to hear me. But I did hear this word, these two words, geoforensic. Does it mean anything to you? Maybe it's just a distraction, or maybe it'll come later. Geoforensic.
I can't say that it means anything to me, and maybe it will still come to me.
Yeah.
What?
Maybe it'll come to me too later.
Yes. No, it's I'll have a look at it and I'll look the word up and just there's something what triggers something and then you remember or something. I will look at it.
But Althea, isn't Althea a goddess? Althea, isn't she a goddess?
Yes.
Like a Greek goddess, right?
Of healing. It's of healing. And I've always felt like I'm a healer also. I've healed. Pardon?
You are. I have. You've sent me healing before, and I've sent you healing, so I know you are a real healer. I've felt it before.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's also a part of the story of my journey. Also, about between 25 and 30 years ago, I told you that my wife was always sick, and she was having. The doctor said to her she will be dying in 6 months because of what she's having. Intestines will be perforating, and he explained the whole situation. This is a specialist and stuff. He calls himself a specialist. But any case, and he said, "Yeah, she won't live past another 6 months." And I lost my temper completely. I lost my shit completely when he said that, because who the fuck is he to say she's gonna live or die? He's got no authority. He studied 7 years at the brainwashing factory, and now he wants to tell us what's gonna happen. I said no, I don't agree with it. It's not gonna happen. So I started. I only heard about healing. And I just said, okay, I'm going to do it. Same with my meditation. I didn't know anything about meditation. Didn't look up anything. I just started doing it. Do you understand? Followed my heart. And I started holding my hands out. And in my mind, I saw energy and heat coming out of my hands. And I did that. And she's still alive. And that is now between 25 and 30 years later. She's struggling because she's a lot of pain and stuff. But she's still alive. So yeah, screw that.
Heck yeah, I am grateful that you did that too, because so many people will listen to the specialists, which are not specialists. They're just programmed and in the program themselves, to make money for the government or whatever. and or these you know, big corporations. And I'm glad you did that. I
Thank you.
too, yeah, you're welcome. I too am like you. I won't take no for an answer. If I know that there's something beyond, and you know, like you said, you didn't even look it up or whatever, you know, you just felt your heart and you went with it. I do that a lot. And a lot of people
Yeah.
say, well, how is it that you know if you're a psychic or if you're receiving a message from your higher self? And would you agree with me? It's basically just shutting everything out but your inner self, and just and being able to trust and
Yeah.
going for it, and action with faith.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. It's just following what you know already. You know this already. It's just, are you gonna think it's your imagination, or
Well,
are you just gonna do
imagination,
it?
everything starts with your mind. Okay,
Yeah.
so how do we manifest, right? We know that we manifest by thinking it, imagining. In
Yes.
Spanish it's imaginación, right?
Yes.
You're in,
Yes.
it's an image and it's an action, right?
Yes.
Imaginación in your mind. So then you see it, and you speak it, and you confess it, right?
Yeah.
You align your mind, your body, your soul, your heart. You have faith.
Yeah.
That's what faith is. And
Yes.
you and we cannot let anybody else tell us, oh no, it's not gonna work, blah blah blah. So with this whole thing going on, which I can't really talk about, but we'll just say this thing, okay? Um, I I will not, you know, wear a cover. Um, I go
Yes.
into cars without a cover because, you know, there is we have the O negative blood type. I don't know what your blood type is again, but it's more than that. I feel it's like faith. You know,
Yeah.
when I first started talking about this in March 2020, I saw like a strand of an AI,
Yes.
of biotechnology of an AI going and attacking people's crown chakra, we'll say.
Yeah.
And I told everybody, you know, don't give in to fear. Be careful who you
Yes.
to what you listen to, because that is the seat, right? The chair of your understanding. In Spanish, it's la silla del entendimiento. This is where everything begins. And so if
Yes.
you let it go in the thought forms, you kind of go into your eyes, you're breathing it, you're tasting it, you're speaking it. So, you know, I said,
True.
believe in
So
your
true.
healing, and believe in your own authority. Know who you are, know thyself. So, you know,
Yes.
activate your DNA. What are some suggestions of activating your DNA other than, you know, exercise and eating organic? Are you, you know, vegetarian, vegan? What is your preference? How is it working out for you? I really want you to tell the audience, because you're gun ho, you're a fighter, you're a boxer, you're, you know, you're very active, and you're awesome, and you're still fast, like really fast. So I really want, maybe in the near future you send me more of the videos that you've had, so I can put them on and somehow tag them on this video, or, you know, share them on Facebook. That way people can get a hold of you, because you have a lot of training ideas too, don't you?
Yeah. I do. Yeah. Yeah, I've been training and exercising for, you can say, the last 48 years. So I've never been unfit in my life. I've always been fit. But yeah, DNA activation, I believe, and what I've been doing is, I wouldn't say I have a set way of doing things. Like I said, I always do things. I follow my heart, and I follow what I feel I need to do next. I get thoughts, uh, and then I do it, because I that's guidance. That's how I'm being guided by who and whatever, by higher self, by spirit beings or whatever. Um, so I think meditation and constantly being in nature. Definitely, I live far out, not too far out, but I live out in nature. I'm surrounded by nothing. There's nothing around me. I go out in nature. I meditate bare feet every night, every morning. Uh, I make sure that is like, yes.
Your horses, talk about the horses that love you so much. your cats, the horses are always there. You talk to them telepathically. You put so many pictures and videos. Are you connected to the horse beings? Cat beings?
Yes. Am I connected to?
Yeah, connect. Do you feel you're really connected to, like, what do you think your spirit animal is? Do you think it's the Lyrians, the horses, what dragons? What is your fascination, or more what has been shown to you in this life?
I would say if I have to choose one, and I don't like choosing one because there's so many. I've gone through different phases, and every time it's like a new one pops up. Um, because we've been all over the universe. We're as old as time itself. So I would say choosing one specific spirit animal, to me, it doesn't make that much sense. Although I've got a lion, as most probably I'm a Leo, that's my sign. I love lions also. But so yeah, there's been so many. There's been different ones as I was moving along, feeling. Can I say, whether I'm from a specific alien race or whatever. There's been times as the same. I've been moving through it. I don't do think too much about it because you know, at the end of the day, there's no race. We're all spiritual beings. We are all part of the whole. So there is no race. You understand? It's whether you've been all over the universe, different planets, there is no different race. And we speak one language, and that is the spirit language. Um, that's you don't have a mouth as a spiritual being, so you don't talk with a mouth. You communicate with mental image pictures, like sort of videos, if you'd say, send videos to each other. That's basically how you communicate. So
True,
uh,
yeah. Unconditional love, I say. And I
yes, yeah,
I I I like yourself, I love different animals, different spirit beings always come to me as well. To me as well, there is no just one,
yeah,
spirit
yeah,
being. They all speak to us in different forms. We just have to listen, and we listen
yes,
how, and you just said it, through images. We send each other, when we speak to each other. I could be here, you there in South Africa, and I can say, hey Glenn, how are you? But it's not the how are you, it's the what is it, 369 frequency, vibration, energy. It's telepathically.
yes,
It's the images, it's music, it's sound. It's like, hey Glenn, how are you? And you can see me, I'm sure, sometimes in your face, but it's not like a bad thing. It's just, that's how I feel I communicate with the people that are also awakened. It's, you'll see an image of me, or I'll see an image of you, and I'll
yes,
see an image of you, talking to your horses, or working, or just making your
yes,
coffee, and it's just saying, hey dude, like, what's up, sending you love, have a good day, kind of a thing. Are
yes,
you very
definitely. I agree with
telepathic
you.
like that with your family too?
Yes, I wouldn't say with my family as such, because most of my family, except for my one cousin, she's starting to awaken, and my one sister, my older sister, is starting to awaken. But the rest of this, there's not that communication. They don't even feel like family to me, although we are family on by blood. But in any case, yeah, family to me is not blood. It's not, because there's so many people that I've met online and stuff, and like you and Victoria and so on, that feel so much more like family. And my family will most probably want to kill me now. I don't, but it's fine for what I'm saying. But that's really how I feel. I feel so close to you guys, and I I would be getting a thought about, say, you, and I said, okay, then now I must contact you, find out what's going on, what's happening in your space. I was thinking about you, and that's how I did. I wouldn't say I get a picture. I just get a thought. I just then okay, I must contact Veronica, because something is going on there in the space, and maybe she needs some help or whatever. And that's what I follow. But getting back to the horses and the pictures of sunsets and sunrises that I take with the horses, because I didn't finish answering you on that. Um, I feel very close to them. And when I meditate, I was meditating right next to the fence. And I would, with my back to the fence, to where the sun sets and sun rises, I could see both sides. And then I would get a feeling, turn around. As I turn around, all the horses are standing at the fence looking at me like this while I'm meditating. It's like they zoom in. It was quite amazing. Or they come, I go and I go amongst them and I take pictures of them. And as I walk up to them, they would come and they'd surround me completely, like with their faces here around my head. And sometimes they do this on my head with their lips. It's quite amazing. Um, no, I gotta also. It's not my horses. It's a good friend of mine's horses that stays very close to us. But yeah, it feels like my horses. We could say that they are. We have got such an amazing bond. Um, the other thing which I mentioned, sorry, you must just tell me when to stop because I've got quite a motor mouth. Um, so I would be meditating, especially when I was in lockdown last year. I would be sitting outside or standing after I meditated, and rabbits would just come to me, wild rabbits, because I'm living in like wild area. They would come to me within like 4 or 5 feet of me, and just looking at me. One day I was standing after I meditated, and I walked in on my way to my place, and I stopped, and I was checking something on my phone, just indulging the feeling of the sun setting, because every time the sun sets and rises, I experience something amazing. It's like okay, it's the end of a new day. Oh, it's the end of a day, or every morning is like a new beginning, and that's how I experience it and feel it. And that's what I wanted to show to people also, to look at what nature, look at what's going on in the world. There's so much more than chasing after nothing. Because we are rushing to our deaths, you could say that it doesn't make sense to me. So I was standing there with my phone in my hand, and I heard, and I, I heard something coming from the back running, but I didn't want to move too fast because I felt it was an animal or something. And I turned around just slightly, and I looked over my shoulder. A rabbit came from the back, a wild rabbit, and it came within 2 feet of me, of two steps of me, if you could say, 2 meters of me. And he was looking, and he looked up to me like this, as if he'd say, "Hi, how are you?" I got the communication from this rabbit. "Hi, how are you?" And I looked at him and said, "Hello," but just calmly. And he was looking at me as if just sitting there, staying, turning his head, looking at things around him, and then looked at me again as if he'd say, "Okay, I must go now." And just like he came to greet me. And then he walked up slowly till about 10 meters away from me. And then he stopped, he turned around, and he said, "Okay, cheers, I must go now." And then they went, but not slowly walking away. It was quite amazing. And I had butterflies come sit on me. Had bees coming to sit on me. I've got a lot of, uh, I love insects and stuff, anything of nature. And these things just come to me. I've had praying mantises. That's a connection my son and I have with praying mantises. Just come at the most weirdest time of the day or night. They would just come, suddenly appear on your lap. And I would be looking at it and I think, what? Maybe somebody is spying on me. I'm just joking. But yeah,
That's how I kind of feel with birds, because for the longest time, I communicate with birds and hawks, as you know. But
yeah,
recently, last year, I found out that they are also AI. Some birds are artificial intelligence, and they are used to look at you. So when I was bike riding, I haven't gone bike riding. I need some new set of tires, blah, 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 my mountain bike. But anyway, last year when I was doing a lot of mountain bike, I would say, "Good morning, AI," to the birds because they were scared.
okay.
Just sometimes it just feels like they're putting on an alarm here in the planet. Like as
Yeah,
soon as the sun rises, it's the same. You'll hear the same sounds. Like sometimes you can tell from the real birds to the AI birds. I don't know if it's happened to
yeah.
you, but real quick, the praying mantis, yes, I have a very special connection to them too. When I was little, they would stare at me, and I wanted to touch them so bad and hold them, but my father would always say, no, mijita, don't touch them because they can bite you or they're poisonous. I don't know if it's true or not, but to this day, I love the praying mantis. You were
No.
the one that taught me two more things real quick before I forget. You taught me to be very how to communicate better with Kiki, my female cat,
Okay.
my daughter's baby cat. Yeah, because she left her here for a whole year by myself with her, and the bond was beautiful because remember I was telling you that Kiki wanted to just fight with me and you know
Yes.
hurt like just aruñar scratch. And
She's aggressive. Yeah.
yeah, and I started just touching her very softly and telling her in my heart, I love you, Kiki. I'm not here to hurt you. Like, trust me, it's okay. You know, and we have come a long way, and now my daughter's back with me, and it's amazing how the bond is between her and myself with Kiki. And then now we have another little cat that's a feral or stray cat that we adopted here. Her
Yeah.
name's Honey, as you know. And Honey is just pure love. I've never seen a cat so loving. Kiki has an attitude,
Yeah.
okay? But real quick, now switching real quick to the bee. About 2 weeks ago, I was 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was yeah, about 3 weeks ago in Saguaro National Monument. And I was just, we were, my friend and I at the time, we were just looking at the ocotillos, the cactus plant, and we were looking at a little flower on a cacti, on the cacti, and there's a little bee that came, and it was just, it felt like if it were Kiki or something, because the bee would go inside the flower and then come out and then look at me and then just look, and then the bee turned around 3 times, went into the flower again, and then looked at me again and like did a little shimmy like Kiki does it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
That's quite amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what happens when you start just observing these things. You start seeing things and you realize what you've been missing also. Coming to that, there's something else that I would like to mention to you, which I also put it on Facebook quite recently. If it's okay, are you finished with what you wanted to say? It's truly amazing what you experience. But in any case, I was. It happened. The first happened 2 years ago. It's happened 3 times now. The last 2 times was quite close by, but the first time it was 2 years ago. I'll tell you about the last 2 times because the first time it was similar to this, but it's about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I went up to the horses. I was walking up to the horses to go take across the street from where I live now, and to go take photos with the sunset and so on. And as I was walking, I don't know if I'm sure you've had this. You would be walking at night or standing, and suddenly you get the attention. So something takes your attention. You look up, and there's a UFO. I'm sure you've had that. So I was walking, and as I was walking, something took my attention on the ground, and I looked down, and I saw this. The thing looked like similar to a butterfly, but it was not a butterfly. I've never seen anything like that. The wings had the shape of a fairy, of a fairy's wings. It's so strange, but it was black with big yellow dots on it. As I said, I've never ever seen. I always watch out and observe insects and stuff. The smallest things I see, and I thought to myself, and then I thought, okay, I've got the phone in my hand. I need to take some photos of this. And I bent down. I went even as close as this to it. It didn't go away. Just so sitting there on the plot. But I've got the photos on my phone still. I can send it to you also. No matter what I did, was close, far, it so on, doesn't matter. I couldn't get a clear picture of this. It was like blurry. But everything around it is completely clear. You can see it very clearly. And that didn't make sense to me. After 9 photos, I thought, this doesn't make sense. Because I've taken photos of things that's much smaller than that. and it was clear. So then this thing flew up. It touched some of the flowers like a butterfly would do, but didn't go sit on anything specific. And then it flew to my left, but it was going slowly for me to follow. So I walked after it in the hope of getting a proper photo. And eventually it went a little bit to the left and then to the right. And as it went to the right, it disappeared right in front of me, disappeared, gone. And its wings was about, you can say an inch, give or take an inch from one wing to the other wing. So it was quite clear. It's not a small thing, so small. It's just like, now you see me, now you don't, gone. And I stood there. I thought, what the hell? Did I just see an elemental? I've only heard about it. And about, what was it? When I went to Cape Town about a month ago or so. Same thing happened when I was on the beach. There was no butterflies or anything on that beach the whole day. It's in the winter and stuff. There's no butterflies. There's nothing moving. And then suddenly, as I was standing, my son was just a distance away from me. The butterfly came sitting right in front of my feet, like 10, 20 centimeters in front of my feet. And I looked at it. It took my attention again. And then, as I was watching it, it flew up, flew to my right. As it flew to my right, it disappeared again right in front of me. So yeah, that is, and then the other time was 2 years ago when a much smaller thing disappeared in front of me. That was the only thing that it's ever happened. That was quite interesting, very, very interesting. I don't know what is your explanation of it?
I think they're what you said, elementals. I feel that they're the fairies. I know that fairies
Yes.
are real. I
Yes.
did a regression with James Rink, and Siberia was one of the places that I lived there as an elf, and so did James and other people. And they have giants there. The giants there are really good beings, and also the really tall trees. They speak to you. They move.
Yes.
The waterfalls. The baby little tiny things that are smaller than butterflies, like you just told me.
Yes.
I have seen them here, tiny, and they disappear and they appear out of
Yes.
nowhere, and
Yes.
I have seen also, I don't know if they're, I don't know, like the ships. Sometimes I see ships just appear and then disappear, through the
Yes.
dimensions. The cloud
Yes.
coverage, going to bigger ships. I take 3 pictures. Remember, I was telling you, like, without the flash, because if you want the flash on, that's you calling them. So I usually just take 3 consecutive pictures without a flash to observe what's in there. And sometimes I'll see the main ship, then the medic ship behind it. And they'll go like through portals in and out really quick. Sometimes you have to
Yes.
get in what they call the negative space, in and out really quick. Now, I tell people, and some people have a hard time with this, but in space, there's traffic as well. There's lines, okay? There's a freeway
Yes.
out there. And so,
Yes.
a lot of people going to Sedona or Las Vegas or Laughlin, wherever, he said, pointing the lasers at the UFOs. Most of them are military, okay, are military.
Yes.
Once in a while, you'll see a UFO that is not military, but the other day I saw a post, and they were intrigued why they would go and disappear, and it's because there's portals over here, there's stargates, there's jump rooms, you go and go to another dimension right away,
Yes.
on planet, off planet, and like I tell people, I see Earth like, okay, like it's a round, like a round dome, kind of like a praying, a mantis ship. It's kind of like oval, but then like an egg shape with like a little thing on the top, like a little candle or whatever. And I see, if you just unzip, like pretend you're unzipping the sky, you go like this.
Yeah.
There's the space. There's darkness with the stars, with the planets are in your face. It's not, to me, it's not like way out there in outer space. No, it's here. It's here. Where's your higher self? Right here. Right here. You know, your
Yeah,
inner self is
yeah,
right here, just a mirror. And to me, it's not like, whoa, it's not way out there, even though, yes, there are things way out there in other galaxies. But to me, you know, Jupiter's just right here. Mars is right here. Just in your face pretty much. And yes, again, there is traffic up there.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing how you see it. It's amazing how you experience it. It's yeah, we're all different, but we all part of the same also. And it's amazing. It's always good to, like, I'm listening to what you say now. It's just so interesting. It's so amazing to see other people's perspectives of things and how they experience things. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm intrigued about those UFOs that you were telling me the other day, that they're mostly orange lights. And I think they have to do with a certain species, but I forgot which ones, and I was going to tell you, but I forgot. So you know, you also, okay, so you talked about the orange lights and the sky,
Yes.
and then you talked about something being in your house that was dark, of course. And then I don't know if you remember that part of the time where you messaged me and said, I think something's out here. I don't know what it is. It just felt like a dark, like a shadow. But then you saw the UFOs. That one with the experience with your family, that you felt that there was a presence there, an ET of some kind. It was before you separated and moved on your own, I believe. Wasn't it the time where
Uh,
one of the many times that the electricity is cut off?
yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, because of this stupid government. But any case, but I remember the one specific, very clear incident. But I wasn't at home. My wife at the time, my kids were still small. Um, this was quite a freakish incident. Um, she told me she got this feeling. She was very psychic herself also, and but she's so distracted now with all the pain and stuff. So she was there by the place, and I was out working. And when I came back, she said to me the weirdest thing happened. And I said to what happened? She said to me, I was at home and I think the kids were sleeping. I can't remember now. And then our little dog, the Jack Russell, started going crazy, like as in crazy nuts. He was barking like psychotically. And my wife went out, and then as she wanted to exit the door of the house, she saw there was a UFO hanging around, right behind the tree. Uh, and as she looked down, there in about 20, 30 meters away from her was this, in the movie Predator, where that thing goes, we can't see it, like watery kind of look. She said she saw the thing standing there, but she got this, like all of her hair stood up, and she knew, okay, this is not a good thing. Whatever this is fucking bad news. And the dog, she was scared of Jack Russell, was scared of nothing. They will take on her life. So she ran halfway towards this thing. She turned around, looking like the devil is chasing her, and she ran inside the house, past my wife, dived underneath the bed. She never did that. She dived underneath the bed, and there was no way she wanted to come out. She was just hiding there, and she never did that. So she knew immediately she had to go back in the house. Not that it's might help, because she doesn't know what these are the things that happen every day. So you don't know what to do. So she closed the door, and she was looking at it was one of these glass doors, and she was looking through the curtains at this thing, observing it. Scared it's gonna come closer or do something, because she didn't know what was gonna happen. And then, as she was watching it, I don't know how long it was. She said, "This thing, as the UFO just, they just vanished, like gone. As this thing vanished, this alien being also vanished at the same time and into the ship, I believe, and it was gone. But there, I saw quite a few UFOs also. I saw it my whole life. So I've been seeing it for over 50 years and stuff. But recently, I haven't seen much. I see blimps here and there, but nothing concrete as such. Um, yeah, that's basically that incident. And the thing about the dog, I'm not sure. I can't remember. There's so many things that happened. I can't remember what I told you. Sorry.
It's okay, Glenn. Well, we have been going for an hour and a half. How do you want to talk like maybe another 10 minutes or would you like to be on the show back again with me and maybe be on with Lisa and Victoria?
That would be nice if we could be on the show together.
That would be.
That would be nice. But
Yes.
yeah, thank
So,
you. Thank you
you're
for
welcome.
having me.
You're welcome, Glenard. And then we named we all came up with our name, our group name as the Glendas, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't even know what happened to that group because you know, with the times that I've been thrown out of Facebook and all the stuff and the changes of phones, I'm not on the group. I don't know if it even exists anymore.
Sometimes John will post a few things, and once in a while I'll post, you know, Super Soldier videos because you know we all wanted all of the group, and you know our goal was to make videos together, but it never happened. So you
Yeah.
told me one day, you said, Veronica, just do it like Nike. And you helped me so much, you encouraged me so much that one day I said, well, not only do I have Archangel Michael kicking my butt to go do it, but I got Glenard here, Glen Roos. So I did it, and thank you. So how can people get a hold of you? Are you on Facebook, Instagram, or do you have do you have a YouTube channel where they can listen to your opera singing?
I don't have a YouTube channel. I've been thinking of opening one. There's one video that John Post put on. That was just what I was singing in the car. It's not a opera song. It's just a it's an Unchained Melody of the Righteous Brothers. That's that song. That's the only one. But you can get hold of me on Glen Roos on Facebook, or I guess you can send me an email also if you want. Glen Roos, GLENROOS 6@gmail.com. Yeah, I'm not on any other platform. I'm on Telegram. Sorry, Telegram.
Are you on
Also,
Mayway? Mayway or no?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not on that.
I'm on that just in case the Facebook goes down, but I really
Yeah.
don't understand it that much. I'll just post the videos and that's about it.
Yes.
And then
I
Telegram, I don't know. I don't understand that, Leonard, because I downloaded the app, but then it says start messaging and then you have to pay or something. I don't know. I have no idea how to do that.
It works the same as WhatsApp. There's to me so hardly any difference as WhatsApp.
So you just add the contacts and stuff? I'll
Pardon?
figure it out. I'll probably have to talk to you about that and see if we can figure it out together because a lot of people are on Telegram.
Yeah. To me, it works just about 100% the same as WhatsApp. It's not much difference.
Can you add videos on there too?
Yeah. Anything. It's even people with groups and stuff on it. It's very similar to WhatsApp. Very similar.
Okay.
You can have groups and stuff, chat groups and so on. And it's much more secure from what I understand. But yeah, the things online you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
But okay, Glenn. Well, thank you. Love you, brother, so much. Thank you for being on. And right now, we are live on Facebook, live on YouTube, on Soma Fusion, Mind, Body, and Soul with Glenard Roos, my producer, Katie Camara, and I'm Veronica Ortolini with Unchained Hearts. And we'll see you next time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. We'll talk
Bye-bye.
later on WhatsApp.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. How do I go?